A haunting nightmare with killer robots and a sinister secret within takes over an abandoned pizzeria. A security guard is seen working at the Freddy Fazbear pizza restaurant at the beginning of the film Five Nights at Freddy. He attempts to leave the control room, looking afraid, but is apprehended and restrained to a chair with a torture device in front of his face. He makes many unsuccessful attempts to break free. And then, if you're a fan of heart-pounding reviews, captivating trailers, and extraordinary content, be sure to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to our channel. And remember to enable those notifications so you never miss a moment from Friday Nights at Freddy's, a spine-tingling horror experience. The security camera captures a grainy picture of the pizza place in his heyday, featuring 5 children having a party and a yellow rabbit removing each child individually. Now keep this fact in mind as it will come up in a moment. Mike Schmidt is the main character who has problems falling asleep, so he gets up at 6 every day to go to work at the mall as a security guard. He is a hero because in spite of his youth, he takes care of his younger sister Abby on his own. Abby, on the other hand, is a schoolgirl, a drawing enthusiast, and a person with many secrets. One day, Mike shares with a colleague what he's been reading about dream theory, which holds that all of the things you have seen in your life are stored in your memory and retrievable through dreams. Something goes wrong at that very time, and Mike lunges at the man who looks to be snatching a child, beating him up until he realizes what a tremendous mistake he's made. The father of the child was the abductor, but actually, not the actual abductor. So, Mike gets fired right away and is sent to employment counselor Steve Raglan, who appears genuinely shocked to learn Mike's last name and acts as though he has known him before. Steve gives him an apparently ideal employment opportunity, a night watchman at the closed-down Freddy Fazbear pizzeria. Even though Mike declines, Steve leaves him a business card in case he changes his mind. Mike doesn't enjoy the concept that much, partly because of the poor wage, and partly because he can't leave his sister alone at night. After the horrific events, Mike is devastated to return home and discovers Max, a buddy, watching Abby while Mike works. However, she has a pretty nasty demeanor and appears to be concealing something. As usual, Abby is in her room painting. Mike attempts to convince her to eat, but she won't give up. Mike responds to Abby's warning not to sit on her unseen friend who is on the bed by ignoring his sister and letting it go. Deflated, Mike goes to bed and dreams of being a kid enjoying a picnic with his family. When he turns around, he sees his younger brother Garrett dragged away in the back seat of a car, but no matter how hard he tries, he is unable to identify the mystery figure who is kidnapping his brother. His mother has instructed him to keep an eye on Garrett. Mike's Aunt Jane, who is more formidable than killer robots, awaits him the following day. After what transpired in the mall, who wants to take custody of Abby in order to receive that money? The social worker is unconvinced by Jane's methods of attempting to obtain custody of Abby and advises Mike to find employment as soon as possible in order to ensure he can maintain his sister. And so it came to pass that Mike was forced to give Steve Raglan another call in order to take the position of security guard at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Steve informs him that although the monitoring system and lighting are quite antiquated, they still work. The place has been abandoned since the 1980s, and the owner hasn't demolished it yet due to sentimental reasons. Mike discovers a film with his name on it in the security room on his first night at Freddy's. The tape welcomes him and ends just before introducing the show's stars. As he stands up, Mike is startled by a hideous doll that seems to have materialized out of nowhere. He goes around the pizzeria and discovers the animatronics on stage. In case you missed it, the doll's name is Balloon Boy. Though he is taken aback to see them, he dismisses them and heads back to the security room. Mike is dreaming of his brother in the middle of the night at the pizzeria, but this time, 5 kids emerge behind him and flee. Mike follows them, but he stumbles on a boulder and wakes up wondering why this isn't his typical dream. Mike takes over from Abby as Max's caregiver the following morning while he is asleep before heading to school. Mike's Aunt Jane, her brother Jeff, and babysitter Max are having a covert rendezvous at Sparky's restaurant. They even think about offing Mike to obtain custody, which is too far for Jane. They therefore make the decision to break into Freddy's and damage everything in an attempt to steal Mike's new job. So the plan is set. In exchange for $1,000, Jeff and the other crooks will enter the pizzeria during the day. Mike uses a sleep aid at work to help him focus while he sleeps in an effort to improve his quality of sleep and try to locate his brother's kidnapper at last. Though not tonight, Abby wants to go with him. Once more, Max is left in charge of Abby. Mike dreams within the restaurant, but he makes it to one of the kids this time. Nevertheless, the child lashes out at him with a hook and screams, her eyes bloodshot. Mike awakens abruptly because of an electrical problem. The words "It's me" are inscribed on a dusty mirror in the security room. Mike discovers Vanessa, a local police officer, who is an absolute cutie by the way, in charge of guarding the restaurant area, when the pizzeria's doorbell rings. Mike is bleeding, and Vanessa offers to assist him. Like the other security officers, she tells him she doesn't think he will stay long in this position, due to the child disappearances as well as the low pay. She introduces him to the animatronics with the Showtime button and tells them how much she enjoyed this area as a child. Freddy, Chica, Bonnie, and Foxy begin to sing their song as soon as she hits the button. Nevertheless, there is an electrical problem throughout the performance, and it ends suddenly. Vanessa offers Mike a Freddy's pin and tells him not to get too engaged in anything and to just perform his job. As Mike and Vanessa depart in the morning, Jeff and his buddies seize the chance to break into Freddy Fazbear's pizza and cause complete destruction, with the intention of placing the blame on Mike and removing him from Abby's custody. The animatronics, however, become enraged upon witnessing the ruin of their home. Cupcake catches Carl's eye from inside the refrigerator while he's busy wrecking the kitchen. He falls victim to a trap devised by Chica, and she ends up biting his head off while he dies. After seeing this, Hank flees in terror and hides in a service room. Unaware that Bonnie has already entered, he seizes the chance to murder him as well, leaving a trace of blood on the glass. As soon as Jeff finishes with Hank, he runs into Bonnie. When he gets to the security room, he finds Cupcake being pushed through the vents by Bonnie and Chica. Jeff runs to shut the door and remove Cupcake. However, Foxy is waiting for him in one of the halls and offs him as well as he attempts to run away. Max, in the meantime, waited in the car and chose to enter when no one else came back. She decides it would be wise to follow the child that suddenly emerges in front of her. After all, what could go wrong? When Max gets to Freddy, she reaches into his mouth, but before she can finish her own life, a hand emerges to take her in. Mike gives Abby the pin Vanessa gave him when he gets home, but she rejects it, so he stashes it in a drawer. After finding the custody withdrawal documents, Abby feels sorry about her choice and gets depressed. Mike, though, reassures her that nothing will ever keep them apart. Vanessa storms into Mike's home and accuses him of taking medications at work, falling asleep, and leaving the door open for intruders to enter. Mike explains to Vanessa that he needs to sleep at Freddy's because he is attempting to figure out who kidnapped his sibling. In addition, he informs her that his father was unable to cope with the loss of his mother, leaving him with only Abby and the need for this work. Vanessa pardons him and discards the pills, urging him to change for the better going forward. Max refuses to respond when Mike tries to get in touch with her to watch Abby for the evening. He is forced to take Abby to work for the first time, and she is very much looking forward to it. While he cleans up the damage left by Jeff and his friend in the pizzeria, Mike builds a fort in the security room for her to sleep in. Mike runs over Hank's blood smear during another encounter with the Balloon Boy figurine on a shelf, but he ignores it. After his cleaning shift ends, Mike transitions to his security shift, which essentially entails napping. Abby is awakened by one of the ghost children, who forces her to investigate the restaurant. When she gets to the animatronics area, she witnesses Freddy emerging from his sleep. In the meantime, Mike is experiencing another of his nightmares in which a child leaves him a hint in the form of a rabbit drawing. Mike is startled awake by Abby's screaming and bolts into the main hall. From this vantage point, he can see Abby surrounded by all the animatronics, and Freddy is coming toward him, his face frightening. Mike requests an explanation, and Abby acts as a mediator between them. Though he is perplexed by the robot's ability to move independently, he soon realizes that the kids in his nightmares are actually ghosts trapped inside the animatronics. Mike returns home with his sister after Abby presents them with a sketch of a heart. Upon returning, Mike discovers two drawings on Abby's table. One shows the kids from his dream, and the other shows Garrett being abducted. When Mike questioned her about who had told her about the kids in his dream, Abby answered that it was actually Freddy, Chica, Bonnie, and Foxy. Mike gives her the assignment of questioning the kids who abducted Garrett. Vanessa shows up at the pizzeria earlier that evening and fixes her intense gaze on the wall drawing of the yellow bunny. She admits to Mike that she is aware of the animatronics' true nature, and that the reason they enjoy sketching so much is because they are possessed by the missing children. Abby, Mike, Vanessa, and the animatronics begin constructing a massive fort so they can spend the night in the hallway. There's a hilarious sequence where Bonnie trips and falls backwards, but fortunately, she is okay. Mike seizes the chance to speak with Vanessa alone in an effort to elicit more information from her. Wink, wink. It appears that the animatronics in the earlier models had shaky springs that shielded the wearer but may have been hazardous. For this reason, they were eliminated. Mike wants to know why Vanessa is so knowledgeable about this location. However, she becomes enraged and forbids him from looking into the past any further. Abby is electrocuted by his guitar as a result of Bonnie's electrical breakdown. Mike's treatment of his sister and bringing her to work infuriates Vanessa even more, threatening to unalive him should he ever bring her back to Freddy's. Mike contacts his aunt on the final night at Freddy's to ask her to stay with Abby while he works, something that feels like a betrayal to the younger sister. In the meantime, Mike goes all out and buys some sleeping pills so he may question the ghost children who abducted his brother as he sleeps in the pizzeria. Abby has to stay with them, but they also pledge to live on in his imagination eternally with his father, mother, and Garrett. The kids become enraged with Mike when he initially accepts the offer and later regrets it, leading to his being viciously attacked. In front of him in the workshop is a saw mask when Mike awakens. Yes, the same one that was on the first security guard. In an attempt to liberate himself, Mike manages to turn off the machine by trying to remove a screw from the chair. After almost escaping impending death and succeeding at the last second, he receives a terrifying scare when he discovers Max, Jeff, and the others' bodies. When Mike tries to break free from the nightmare, Foxy catches him. In the meantime, a strange robot reappears at home. She is awakened by one of the kids, who invites her to accompany him to the pizza place. Although the child corrects Abby, she still believes it's Freddy. Although the identity of this animatronic isn't revealed in the film, it's actually Golden Freddy, an ancient animatronic from the pizzeria that transformed over time into something supernatural that materializes and vanishes without warning. Aunt Jane is no longer, because of Golden Freddy, allowing Abby to take a cab to the pizza place. Once there, Abby enters the hall and notices that Golden Freddy has eerily disappeared from view. Mike has amazingly made it through, waking up next to Vanessa, who discovered him and provided him with care, in the police supply room. As Mike describes his most recent dream, Vanessa sobs and gives him the whole truth, that Abby wants to become one of the animatronics. A number of children vanished in the 1980s without a trace. The culprit had concealed their bodies inside the animatronics, so the parents never recovered their bodies. The dead children are now controlling Freddy, Foxy, Chica, and Bonnie, manipulating them to get rid of Abby as well. Vanessa presents Mike with a childhood picture of herself and her father, William Afton, the murderer, both wearing the same yellow rabbit outfit. Mike sees that Vanessa is holding the identical plane that his brother Garrett was holding when he vanished. This might have been the part where Mike gathered Abby, Vanessa, and the animatronics and said to them, "Don't give up, because we are FNAF." However, I'm not sure. My memory eludes me. Going back, given that Mike is in danger of losing another sibling due to William Afton's kidnapping and murder of his brother, Vanessa arms him with electric weapons to take out the animatronics and heads to Freddy's pizza place by himself. Mike watches Chica escorting Abby to the rear of the stage after he successfully gains entry through one of the pizzeria's ventilation ducts without being noticed. Mike tries to enter covertly, and even though he's almost caught, he tosses water at Freddy and Bonnie's feet to electrocute them and escape. As Chica prepares to insert Abby into the automaton, Mike fires, incapacitating her. Cupcake attacks Mike as they flee, forcing Abby to continue on her own. However, Foxy is pursuing her, and after a few difficult moments, she chooses to jump into the ball pit. Vanessa makes an unexpected appearance and saves Abby from Foxy, making up for her extensive concealment from her pals. After Mike defeats Cupcake, he attempts to flee but is stopped by William Afton in his yellow bunny suit. He attempts to disable him by firing an electric charge, but as he is not an animatronic, it is ineffective. And he is protected from the voltage by the suit. William gains self-assurance and sends Mike sprawling to the ground, rendering him helpless. Afton admits to Mike that he was the one who unalived and abducted his younger brother, which exacerbates the situation, and that he will now also do the same to him. Vanessa seems to be pleading with her father to stop and let the animatronics go when they all awaken and start acting violently once more. When William takes off the mask, it becomes clear that he is the same Steve Raglan who hired Mike for the position and went undercover under a false name. Vanessa then shoots William as well, but her father severely threatens her when the suit shields William. Meanwhile, Mike seizes the chance to advise Abby to focus on the drawings since they hold the secret to persuading the animatronics to cooperate. Subsequently, Afton loses all sanity and stabs his own daughter, rendering her partially unconscious on the ground. Abby draws a fresh illustration that clarifies the children's actual ordeal, removing the sheet showing the kids being delighted with him and putting up a picture of William Afton offing the kids instead. After turning on the light, Mike tells the animatronics the real story of what actually happened to them as kids. William chastises them for being his creations while attempting to restore control over them. However, Cupcake attacks him at that precise moment, setting off the suit's metal springs, which cause William to be progressively stabbed. Afton resolves to accept his death, puts on the suit's mask, turns himself into an animatronic, and makes a promise to rise from the grave after realizing there is no way out. As part of the hall collapses and the animatronics drag William Afton into the pizzeria's depths, Mike, Abby, and Vanessa try their hardest to flee the place. After seeing the animatronics, Abby's confidence returned, and she is performing much better in school. Vanessa is still in the hospital, but she is gradually getting better from her horrific stabbing wound. When they get home, Mike tells Abby that you never know what can happen. She then wonders whether they can ever go see Freddy and his pals again. The last image displayed by the pizzeria is of William, half dead and in agony inside the rabbit suit, in one of the storerooms, as he is being watched by one of the ghost children, who locks him in. Balloon Boy can be seen scaring the taxi driver once in the credits, and in the closing moments, the letters that make up the sentence, "Come find me," can be heard. If you were spooked by the hair-raising adventure of Friday Nights at Freddy's, express your enthusiasm by giving that like button a hearty smash. For more updates that will keep you on the edge of your seat, enthralling movie reviews, and immersive action horror content, make sure to hit that subscribe button and activate notifications.